Hey y'all. So Dynasty has this exciting new Runeblade card. It's called Looming Doom. You've probably heard of it. And I think at first glance, this might look like a build-around card or something that pushes a completely different archetype for Viscerai than what we currently see. However, there is an interaction with this card which I think might make it a mainstay in all Viscerai decks. Let's get into it. So, what does this card say? Honestly, it's a bit of an essay, so I'm just going to summarize it. When you play this card, you destroy all the rune chants you currently control, and you turn each of them into 2 damage pings for the end of your turns for the next few turns. So, for example, if you have 5 rune chants when you play this, you destroy all 5 of them, and for the next 5 turns, at the end of those turns, you get to ping any target for 2 arcane damage. So, numerically, this turns each 1 damage rune chant into 2 damage, which, depending on the number of rune chants you destroy, could obviously be a big increase. But I think there's a way we can actually make it 3 damage per rune chant. Now, how do we do that? For that, let's take a look at what rune chant says. So note that this is the errata version of the rune chant. This errata happened about a month ago, and the errata itself isn't relevant for today's discussion, but I just thought I'd bring it up in case you notice that your rune chant reads differently from this one. So rune chant says, when you play an attack action card or activate a weapon attack, destroy rune chant and deal 1 arcane damage to target opposing hero. So, when you play an attack action card or activate a weapon attack, the rune chant trigger goes on the stack. And when this trigger resolves, 2 things happen. 1, the rune chant gets destroyed, and 2, 1 arcane damage is dealt to target opposing hero. Now, note that upon this trigger resolving, these 2 things, the destroying and the damage, are not dependent on each other. What that means is that when the trigger resolves, if the rune chant has already been destroyed by some other effect, the damage from the rune chant will still go through. So, let's see this in action. Suppose I start with 3 rune chants, and I make an attack. I get 3 rune chant triggers on the stack at the same time, and my opponent, who's a wizard player, an Icelander in this case, responds with a Scour from Arsenal. They pitch 3 into a Scour and they target the 3 rune chants that I currently control. Those rune chants I've triggered and they're on the stack, but I do still control them because they haven't been destroyed yet. So, they target the rune chants, the Scour resolves, I'm down to 0 rune chants and I've taken 3 damage. However, those rune chant triggers are still on the stack, and as each of them resolve, my opponent Icelander takes 1 damage. And so my opposing wizard player tried to make a big brain play and tried to destroy my rune chants before the rune chants trigger and dealt damage to them. But in fact, what actually happened is that they go like, ouch. So back to Looming Doom. Is there a way we can use this interaction to our advantage and have the rune chants trigger dealing damage to our opponent while at the same time destroying them for Looming Doom's effect? And for that, we're going to need our favorite running shoes, Spellbound Creepers. Now, let's go through some lines. So, classic Viscerai situation here. I've got my Morbin Skies in Arsenal, and I've got my Tunic up, and I draw up, and I unfortunately draw a few too many blues. I have 2 extra blues than what I need. Oh, but hang on. One of those blues is a Dooming Loom. So, I start my turn with the Morbin Skies, as always, and into Spellblade Assault. Floating 1, triggering Viscerai, getting a rune chant on the back. Spellblade Assault resolves, giving me 2 more rune chants, and now I have 3 rune chants on the back. Now let's assume the Spellblade Assault doesn't hit, because the opponent blocks the Morbin Skies hit. And then I use my 1 floating to swing Rosetta. So this causes these 3 rune chants to trigger and go on the stack. I'll represent them like this, but they do still exist behind here. And then I activate Tunic to activate my Creepers, allowing me to play my Looming Doom at instant speed. So note, I've held priority as the rune chants triggered on my Rosetta Thorn activation, and so the rune chants still exist, and then I go Looming Doom. Now Viscerai triggers again on the Looming Doom, so I go to 4 rune chants, and by the time Looming Doom resolves, it sees that I control 4 rune chants, destroys them all, gets the Doom counters. However, 3 of those rune chants are still going to deal damage to my opponent. So, 7 damage from the Thorn here, and then, at the end of the turn, one Looming Doom trigger as well. And for the next 3 turns, those Looming Dooms will trigger. Now, if you really want to see the ceiling of this, here's another possible line. I've got my Moderate Tide in Arsenal, and I draw up into this hand. So I go Moderate Tide into Swarming Gloomveil, creating 2 rune chants on the back, into Revel in Runeblood, creating a total of 7 on the back because of the Viscerai trigger as well. So going up to 9 rune chants. Crack Aether Ironweave, go to 2 resources. If you are running Quill Hand for some reason, you crack that as well here. And go to 12 rune chants total. Use 1 of your floating to swing your sword, putting 12 rune chants on the stack. Hold priority, use the last floating to activate your creepers, and flash out your Looming Doom, triggering Viscerai again, so it sees a total of 14 rune chants on the back. Destroys them all for Doom counters, while you still have 12 of those rune chants going at your opponent with a Thorn. Now, obviously, this is obviously like the ceiling of one of these plays. Obviously, it's like almost never going to happen, because if you're running Ironweave, you're probably in an aggro matchup, in which case, 14 turns of Looming Doom is like just not going to matter. Also, just a moderate Revel turn is already probably going to win you the game by itself, but it's fun to think about the ceilings of these. However, something like the earlier line, the first line, is something I can see happening somewhat regularly, because it's, Morven Skies in an attack. It's a cookie-cutter Viscerai turn. Happens a lot. Now, onto a line that doesn't work. And I have to put this out there before someone tries this at home, gets judge called, and then flames me for spreading dangerous misinformation on the internet. So, this is the start of my turn. I have 3 rune chants already, and I send an attack at my opponent. The rune chants trigger, and I have 3 in the bag, but 3 on the stack, and I try to respond to the rune chants on the stack by activating my creepers, and flashing at the Looming Doom, trying to destroy the rune chants on the back. Now, this is not a legal play. The reason for that is that you can only activate Spellbound Creepers if you have attacked this turn. Now, you might say, oh, I've played my Swarming Gloomveil. Well, this is a little confusing, but there is a difference between having played an attack and having actually attacked. Your rune chants trigger upon you playing an attack. So in this case, I played the Gloomveil and the rune chants triggered. But I'm only considered to have attacked a couple of steps down the line. Now you can look at the comprehensive rules to find out exactly where that happens. But the end result is that the creepers are not legal to activate at this point in time. You cannot activate your creepers in response to your rune chants being destroyed on the first attack that you play in the turn. The reason why this worked in the previous 2 lines is because we are responding to rune chant triggers on the Rosetta Thorn activation. And at that time, we actually had already attacked previously in the turn. In the first line, it was with the Spellblade Assault. In the second line, it was with the Gloomveil. However, in this case, we have not attacked previously in the turn, and so we cannot actually activate these creepers before the rune chants resolve. You can, of course, wait till this Gloomveil is attacking and then activate those creepers, but by that time, these rune chants on the back would have been destroyed because these triggers would have resolved and destroyed them. So, yeah, this is what happens when you play Viscerai, but you're secretly a wizard player at heart. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.